Hi, my name is Brandie Paterakis, and I'm the owner of Blue Bee Counseling Services. I'm a mother and wife who is passionate about life and has found joy in helping others improve their mental health. The goal of this podcast is not only to provide enriching entertainment, but to help others in their pathway to have a more fulfilling life. This in no way is a replacement for therapy. Follow us on this journey of mental health awareness. Blue Bee Counseling Services now presents this podcast, Therapist Table Talk. Thanks for joining us here at Therapist Table Talk, hosted by Blue Bee Counseling Services. My name is Brandie Paterakis, and I'm an LCSW located here in South Jordan, Utah. Welcome, everyone. We're so excited. Here we are. We have some fun people with us today. We have Sydney Hall, who is my intern. She's a master's level. We're so excited. She practices with me at Blue Bee Counseling Services. If you want to get one of your kids into counseling, she's the girl to get them into. So give us a call, and you'll get on that schedule. And then we have something really special today. Not that you're not special.
She's more special.
He is kind of special. And so we're excited to have Sydney's husband with us, known as Joey Hall. He's a famous YouTuber. Is it YouTuber?
TikToker.
He's on YouTube too.
I do all that stuff.
He is a famous influencer on social media at Bettercallhall, which I love. I think that is super fun.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't seen him, check him out. You'll laugh. He's hysterical. He's a history teacher at Lehigh High School. And so we're super, super excited to have him here today. We want to get a teacher perspective. And so with her master's and his integrated level and them being a parent together, it's going to be a really fun one today. So we're so excited about this. So you're all wondering, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, don't you foodies even fear one moment. Can't even talk. Words are hard today. But don't even fear for one moment, because we have something coming for you. It's coming a little bit later, and you'll get to see a little sneak peek on Joey and all of his funness that's happening. So if you like food, stay tuned. I'm just saying, it's not under the table.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
On the way here, he asked me, is there going to be some charcuterie or something? And I said, just you wait.
I was like, what? So now that's making sense.
I thought about a cereal bar. It's my favorite. I love cereal. So I thought I'd just pull out a cereal bar and we just go to town and we just talk while we ate cereal today.
Okay, perfect.
But then I changed my mind. So it's coming. You'll see. It's going to be fun. So hold on and wait, and you're going to see what's going to happen. It's going to be really exciting. So, but in the meantime, let's talk about a really important topic. If you're really interested in mental health issues and you want to get to know a little bit more, come follow us at Blue Bee Counseling Services on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We have some really funny videos. We love to dance. I heard you love to dance too.
Not even slightly.
Yeah.
Just only when nobody's watching.
I heard he loves to dance. That's what it said when I looked it all up on YouTube or on Instagram. It was like he's a dancer. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if he knew he was a dancer. So so that's exciting. So we have a bunch of mental health topics. Check out some of our other podcasts for those if you're struggling with some things. Okay, so here we go. The topic for today is...
We are talking about an experience that we had where we had to learn how to best advocate for our son, who is neurodivergent. He has been diagnosed with a speech delay around the time he was, 2? 3?
Yeah, roughly 2.
Speech delay. Our son he has never been diagnosed autistic. He does have a speech delay. He's kind of just this, and we found there's a lot of parents that experience this kind of thing, and that their child is not neurotypical in that they fall in line with their peers in the typical way kids should develop, right? But he's also not autistic in the form of the autism that we recognize as autism, if that makes sense. He's kind of this really great in between, which is amazing, and he's the light of our lives and he's the best. But it makes it difficult in the public school system because the public school system is catered to the neurotypical child, or you're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum where you're in a full-blown autistic class. So we've had a bit of an ordeal this year when he started kindergarten, finding the right placement for our son, and we learned that there were so many things we didn't know that were an option in the public school system.
Which is really hard, because I think all of us parents know, or even us as kids going through it, when that child turns 5 years old, we get so excited to go into here they go, they're going into that next phase of life. We have those those bittersweet feelings of the excitement of getting to like not have to pay for daycare anymore during the day and having a little bit of time to ourselves, or getting some things done. The house isn't as messy. They get to go into the world and experience some cool things into school systems, and then we send them off for that first day and we're crying because we're losing them and we really want them to be with us. Yeah. So we all have that ability to kind of understand at some level or another how difficult it is to start the public school system or any sort of school system for your 5-year-old. And for you guys, this seems to be just a little bit of a different kind of ride for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it was, well, you hit the nail on the head right there, where like we had these expectations. Oh my gosh, like he was in a special education classroom for like preschool, and they recommended him for just general ed kindergarten, and we were so excited. We were so proud of him, and you know, we still are, obviously, but we had that expectation and how his first day was going to be, and then it just kind of didn't go that way, which was great, which is fine because we know we were going to get him in the right spot that he needed to be. But yeah, the whole ride of it was a little shaky the first couple days. So
yeah, and I think it's really hard right now because this tends to be something that's becoming kind of a little bit more of a norm. We're finding that there is more of these neurodivergent children that are integrated into each of our families. And a lot of times they don't show up until, you know, early adolescence and into the school system. When you start recognizing that, like, okay, there's some functionality that's just a little bit different and off, and how do we get those resources for our children that may need them? And I think that that's what this podcast is really here for, is not only their experience and how what they had to go through so that you can validate and fill in that if you have a neurodivergent child, but also the resources and the availability of what is out there for your child that could be of help to them.
Yeah, so just kind of the whole story of everything we went through would take hours and hours to get through, so I can just give like a brief little overview. Basically, like he had said, our son had 2 years of preschool experience where he was in an all IEP based classroom. So an IEP is an individualized education plan that you'll get with the school district. We got his in place when he was 3 years old, when I got him diagnosed with a speech delay. The IEP just gives him, it qualifies your child for services that come free with the school district, where he's working with a speech therapist. He had a couple cognitive goals as well, that's done by the teacher in the classroom. So that just kind of outlines how much time of services he's going to be getting, those kinds of things. So he was in a classroom in preschool for 2 years where all the kids in there had IEPs. So they were all kind of on the same level. Well, Channing did amazing in that class. He did incredible. And so when I had his IEP meeting going into kindergarten, his special ed teacher said, we would like to recommend that Channing be in a general education classroom. He's gonna do great. And I called him crying. I'm so proud of Channing. Like we were so excited. And so we did what the school district recommended. Again, we didn't know any different. I didn't know, you know, I just assumed the IEP was transferring over because that's what I had been told.
Yeah, because he was going to a different school outside of our boundary for that specific classroom. And so when he was going to be going into a general education classroom, he would have had to, all of his records, IEP, all that stuff would have had to get transferred to that new school so that they knew what was going on. Unfortunately, we didn't know this till later. That didn't happen. So they had very little to no knowledge of Channing and what he needed.
And we unfortunately had a pretty bad experience with the teacher that he originally was assigned to. I had tried to touch base with her at like kindergarten assessment and like talking to her before school started, saying, hey, my son has an IEP, he needs speech therapy, I know he's going to be pulled out of class, can we kind of go over the details on that? And I don't think she ever really learned anything about his IEP or advocated for him on any of that, which was a bummer. So the first day of school, I take him to school, and it's a half day in kindergarten in Utah, only half day. So they're in the classroom for less than 3 hours. And Channing's the kind of kid where like he just needs reps in a schedule, right? So we're like, it's probably going to be, you know, a long first few days, but once he's in his routine, he does amazing. So I go pick him up from his first day of school, and the teacher says to me, you know, he didn't really want to sit in his seat and this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, in my head, I'm like, I'll talk to him, but also, he's a 5-year-old on his first half day of kindergarten, okay?
He's a 5-year-old boy in kindergarten.
So
like,
to me,
sounds pretty
yeah,
normal.
Yeah, it's pretty
We're
normal.
very realistic about our child. I'm like, okay, yeah.
I have 16, 17-year-old students that I teach that can't stay in their seat. And
Yeah.
so, like,
Huh.
so what are we thinking about a 5-year-old?
Yeah. So
Anyway.
I take him back the next day and go to pick him up, and she looks at me when I pick him up and she says, he had a really hard day. He didn't want to sit in his seat again. I don't have an aide that can be in the classroom tomorrow to help him out, and if I can't get an aide, then you cannot bring your son to school tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that was the pivotal moment right
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
When you were like, I mean, maybe I should ask you, like, what emotions kind of happened in that moment?
I
for
was
you?
angry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was so angry
Mhm.
that I knew that I had tried to advocate for him with this woman before, and she clearly didn't listen to me. Angry because it's illegal for you to tell me I can't bring my child to a public education classroom. Angry because I could tell that Channing was not okay and that he had experienced really hard 2 days at school.
And he can't vocalize that to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and it was also really weird because he's not a super angry, emotional kid, but those next couple days after those first few days of school, there was something wrong.
There were behaviors that we were seeing that
Yeah.
he's never been aggressive in his life. He's never yelled in his life, and he was he had no other way to express what he was feeling. And so we had to just kind of, thankfully, like, we have the knowledge that we do, like mental health and as a teacher, to where when those behaviors were happening, we were able to recognize he just experienced a really hard thing, and we just need to kind of ride this out and not like discipline him for these things, like, because he has no other way to express his emotions right now.
Yeah. And then you called me. I think I was teaching.
You were,
And you called me and you were hysterical, and I was like, I usually answer your calls if you call me because when I'm teaching, when I'm not, and if it weren't serious, you wouldn't call me. So I answered it, and you were just very upset about the situation, and asked, like, what should we do? And I basically was like, all right, I'll call the school because like, you told me the situation. It was really upsetting for me. I think we were very fortunate in our situation too that I was able to come from it from a teaching perspective, from like a teacher, because at the end of the day I was like, what the teacher did was wrong, like you can't do that. But also I knew, I was like, okay, I don't want to go for her job, I just want to do what's right by Channing. Like, I want to make sure that we are taking care of this. So I called the school and kind of let them know, hey, this is what happened, I'm sure there's some misunderstanding, what can we do to work this out? Like, I want it to be us versus the issue, not like me versus the school, like, let's try to get this figured out correctly. And I ended up having a talk with somebody with administration, and they did a great job getting it sorted out. And we were able to get Channing the options and the people around him to help him out. But it was pretty upsetting at first.
It was upsetting. It was hurtful. There was a lot of really, really hard emotions associated with that. So we go through that. We get him. We were in a meeting the next day with the special education coordinator at the school, a new general education teacher, because we also said he's not going back into that women's class. And so we were in a meeting with them the next day. We get him into this new routine. Where he is in like a hybrid, so he's what's called a self-contained student. So he like starts the day out in a special ed resource class where he's getting more of the one-on-one or small group work.
With academic as well.
They focus on the real academics in there, whereas then he transitions into the general ed classroom for the remainder of the day, where that's more of the social skills and more of the social aspect of it. So he's doing good with that, and then the special ed teacher one day says to me, okay, he hasn't had actual like testing in regards to the speech delay and the cognitive stuff. He hasn't had like actual testing done since you got him diagnosed at 3. So we're gonna do a full new round of testing on him to make sure he's receiving everything. And I'm like, okay, feeling some anxiety over it. I had a conversation with Joey where we talked about the possibility of, there's a good chance they come back to us and say your son should be diagnosed with autism. We had those conversations. A few weeks of anxiety until we get the test.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we go into the meeting that day, and also, if you've ever been in an IEP meeting for your child, it is so incredibly overwhelming because there's like so many faculty members present, and then it's just like you, and it was me and Channing and so many different faculty members, and they're going over the school psychologist who, she was great, but I had never met her, and she's just giving me all of these like scores that Channing got that I feel like Channing has never tested well, he's never performed well on tests, so I take those knowing these are not representative of my son. I'm very realistic about it, but I'm like, these are not representative of my son. This meeting goes like 2 hours long. Well, I'm trying to keep a 5-year-old entertained during it. And
not just a 5-year-old.
Yes. And meanwhile, I'm absorbing all of this information and trying to take it in. He can't be there because he's at work. You know, like it was just.
Wasn't I in Washington?
No, that was the first time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, there was a lot.
You know, the traveling stuff.
Yeah.
Influencer.
He was on an influencer thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just absorbing all this information, and basically Channing's special ed teacher, who has been our greatest advocate throughout all of this, she could tell that I'm like getting overwhelmed, and so she kind of like stopped the psychologist and was like, okay, I think Sydney gets the gist of, you know, what Channing's exams look like. So what questions do you have for me? And I just said, well, what does this change in regards to like his current school setting? Like what's going to change? Like what does this affect? And they said the recommendations based off the numbers say that we should move Channing into an all autism based kindergarten classroom at a different school. And I said, okay. And she said, but I have never observed this classroom, so I'm going tomorrow to observe this classroom because I don't, like as a therapist, I always tell my clients, I would never ask you to do something I wouldn't do myself, right? And so she's like, I'm going to go observe this classroom. I would like you to come with me so we can go observe it and see, which we didn't even know that was an option, that you can go like observe different kinds of classrooms.
Okay, so like note to self, if you are dealing with a child that is in some sort of a situation the same as theirs, that there are these options, and this is exactly what we're doing this podcast for, is so that you can hear some of these options here. Number one, how to advocate for your child and get them the needs. Number two, nobody can tell you can't have your kid in the public school system.
Yes.
And number three is that you can go and have these meetings to get your child evaluated through the public school system, which is free of charge, and be able to have a place to go and actually witness these classrooms that could be or could not be good for your child. So this is the part where I think is really awesome. Take us on a story. I'm really excited to hear like what happened here. So you went into this room.
So we go. He took the day off of work the next day so we could go together because we were like, this needs to be an us decision. It's a big decision.
It is.
So we go into that first. It's an all autism based classroom, and we go in with the special ed teacher that Channing's with, and within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was very apparent. Yeah,
that it was not the setting for him.
Okay, and what made you recognize that?
The children in that class were severely autistic, completely nonverbal, very non-responsive, which Channing is not.
Yes.
And we all knew. Channing's current teacher, special ed teacher as well, was like, this isn't the class for Channing.
Yeah,
this is not it.
Yeah, and we all knew that immediately.
And it's like, not to say that like I think these classes, you know, are great, and especially for, you know, if that's what your child is, if they're severely like it was like a perfect setting for them.
Yeah,
like we watched it, and like the things that they were doing were incredible as they were helping them with all the different steps, and I'm like, that's great. But for us and our kid, we knew right away, like, that's not Channing. Like this is not the type of services that he needs.
So we talked to the teacher that was teaching that class. She came and talked to us for a minute, and we kind of told her like the circumstances and why we were observing, and told her a little bit about Channing. And she was like, I actually teach. So he had been in like an all IEP based preschool. She had an all IEP based kindergarten. That afternoon, she said, come back and observe that because this sounds like it could be a better fit for him. Again, didn't even know that was an option. Right?
Yeah, like we had no idea.
There are so many different types of
options.
Classes.
Like who would have known? There was options.
And again, we had no idea. And so we were like, awesome, we'll come back this afternoon. So the three of us go back that afternoon. We observe, and it's a better fit.
Yeah.
The one issue that came up was actually the vice principal at that school came in and talked to us and told us well, it was a bummer because we were kind of like, okay, yeah, like we were feeling better about this one, and then the vice principal came up to us and was like, just so you know, they're missing like 3 of their...
It's like 3 or 4 of their...
highest maladaptive behavior kids. So there's a lot of hitting, kicking, punching, throwing that happens in this class typically, and those kids aren't here today.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that vice principal and educating you.
No, for sure.
Yes.
Even the I think the teachers, and they were just like, this looked like a perfect cookie cutter like version of
They're
what
like,
this
you guys
classroom.
came in on the best day.
Like literally, just because they were missing some of it, and they were like, we didn't want to give you like a false representation of what the classroom actually usually looks like, and,
which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, we just felt kind of defeated at that because we were feeling a little bit of hope that we had found the right one, and then we were like, oh shoot, because Channing is not a maladaptive behavior kid. He is not an aggressive hitter, yeller, puncher. Like he has never had. So then you get into the question of, if we put him here, is he going to learn those kinds of behaviors, right?
Yes.
Like we don't want that to be what he's socializing with. So we were just kind of like, we also have the option to keep him at his current school. That option. I think the biggest thing I want to emphasize in all of this is that as the parent, you get the choice.
Yeah.
Like
I love that.
you get the choice. If we had said special education is not on the table for our child, we want him in the general education classroom the whole time, the school has to say yes. They cannot say no to you on that. Yeah. So we're like, okay, we know we get the final say. We're feeling really conflicted. We don't know. We leave that classroom and we walk outside with Channing's current special ed teacher, and I'll probably get emotional when I talk about this. And she said to us, okay, you've seen your options at this school. Here's my plan for him, and here's what I'm going to do to help him. And she laid it out, and it was like the answer to everything we had wanted when she told us. And she had this beautiful plan laid out for him, everything we're hoping for him to have.
Which I'm super excited about, because if I have any teachers that are listening here that work with these neurodivergent children, give them a little bit of an idea of like, why was this such an answer to your prayers, and what were those things that were so critical that he needed?
Well, and what she said too with that, she's like, she always said like, I love the middle children, which is what she's like, you have like your general education, you kind of have your special education, but there's so many different types of kids, like, and she's like, I love those ones who are right there, and that's what Channing is, and so so when she started going into her whole plan, I'll let you keep talking about, but that's what I love that she came in from that viewpoint of like, there's here, like, where's that middle between, and what can we do to help them? So go ahead.
Basically the plan is, we're keeping him at his current school because that's where he feels safe, which is so important for children to feel safe and comfortable in their environment. Kind of similar to the like starting in the special ed going into the general education classroom. So he's going to focus on academics in the special ed class. And once he's doing really good one-on-one, we're going to expand him into smaller groups with other kindergartners. We're going to focus on the socialization in the gen ed classroom. That was kind of like the basis of it, right?
It was a lot, and it was really cool because couple, like last week or a week or so ago, I never get to take Channing to school because I'm usually at work. But I was able to one of those days, and like Channing was so excited. So I actually, usually it's just a quick drop off. I was there for about the first 40 minutes of his class, and the teachers were like, well, it's funny because I actually, one of the moms who teaches my son, I actually teach her son.
Yeah.
And so it's just a
That's
whole,
funny.
it is. And so Channing really wanted me to see, and so I got to see all the stuff that he was working on, his numbers, his letter, he was writing. Because he doesn't like doing this stuff at home.
He's
he
just
likes
strong-willed.
he does what and he's very independent. But to see him like working with that, and then they kept telling us like, this is what we used to do, and now we're transitioning to this. Like we're from like a positive response reinforcement, things like that, of like, here's a snack or something like that. Here's this, that, and they're starting to lean away because now he's doing so much better with all of it. And so it is tough because the way like the aides work and like things can change sometimes. And
his schedule's been changed quite a few times just with like aides when they're available and things like that.
And he thrives on a schedule. Like he does best when he's on a schedule. But being able to like see what he does and then like how they reinforce it with also like being able, hey, we did this for 10 minutes. Now go choose a book and you can go read a book. And so like I went and I read a book with him and they were like, you could stay as long as you want. You like, they were very open to like having us there and whatnot. And
so like integrative with parents.
Oh yeah.
Which I feel
really
like is
great.
something parents don't know is really an option because like you said, we get this idea of like, all right, I'm sending my kid off to school. This is it.
There we go.
Which for
Take
some
care of them.
kids,
Thank
like
you.
our second kid, it will be that kid. He's that kid at preschool. Our second kid's a whole different set of
completely different.
But with Channing, he needs us to be advocating for him and making sure that he's safe and stable, and that's what we needed to do. And this teacher that we've worked with, she like when she laid that plan out for us, and she's like, I'm not going to make the decision for you. This is you guys. I will not be offended if you pull him from my class and move him elsewhere.
You could already probably feel the love.
Exactly. Which was the real difference for us.
I was like, we knew that she loves our son. She's going to do what's best for our son and take care of him. Like, and you just get that with her, which was amazing.
But again, she emphasized so many times, like, I just want you guys to know what your options are. Because so many people don't know what their options are, which so many parents don't know in these situations. I think we think it's kind of all or nothing, because one of my fears was I don't want to put Channing in a special education classroom and have him like locked in that classroom forever if he doesn't need it. That was one of my fears that I expressed, right? I want him, your goal is to have your child in a general education classroom, like with neurotypical kids, right? And so I expressed that fear to her. I said, that's my concern if we choose a setting like this. And she said, you have the right as the parent at any time. I could go to her any day and say, Channing's done with this, he's going into a general education classroom.
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't that so beautiful? And there's so many things here to be learned. And I love your experience and you guys sharing this with so many people. And I hope people take the opportunity to share this with their friends and family and people that they know that are about to enter into the school system. You know, that there are options for them. Is there anything that like you guys feel is such a great place to take anybody who's listening or viewing this, just a couple things learned or some pieces that they can like leave with?
I think for me, from like a mental health standpoint, it was probably the hardest experience I've ever had as a parent. Because you feel so much love for your child and you want to fix all their problems and you can't, right? And so I think here's a little plug for our last podcast we did, Self-Compassion.
That's right.
Go watch that one. It's a good one. Have compassion for yourself when you're going through these hard things. I, as a mother, as most mothers do, internalize everything that's wrong with my child and place all the blame on myself, right? And so that was something that I think every day I was crying to him, like, what did I do wrong? How do I fix this? And he's reminding me, like, hey, this isn't, like, he's going to be okay, you know? And so have compassion for yourself and have compassion for your child. Like we said, like we had seen some behaviors coming out in Channing during this time that we were like, whoa, this is not our kid.
Never,
Being aware and like when those things happen and those behavior changes happen in your kids, when they're that little and they are neurodivergent and can't communicate it with you, those behaviors happen for a reason. And just being curious around like how can I help my kid through this? And forgive yourself because it's not your fault.
I love that. How about from a teacher perspective? And father perspective, right?
Yeah, and as I was thinking about that, well, one of my favorite things I always try to remind myself is comparison is a thief of joy. Like I look at all these kids coming out of a general education classroom and they're all talking and doing all this stuff and they don't have to have their teacher escort them out, you know. And it's easy to be like, oh, why can't my kid just do that? Like, and it's very easy. But then I go and I'm like, I got to see my son write his name today. Like, that is so cool. Oh my gosh, like, he was singing a song that he learned in school today.
Oh my gosh,
like,
I love that.
He was doing this, he can do that. Like, I can, he knows how to do these certain sight words, and then so it's like, it's really hard to, as a father, to like, you want your son to be the best at things. You want your kids to be, and it's like, but when you compare them to other people, it's going to take away those beautiful moments that you have with your kids. And then also just as a teacher, we always talk about like a growth mindset, and trying to think about that with our kids. Oh, he's struggling. He can't do this yet. Okay. It's not, he can't do it. He can't do it yet. Like, we know Channing's going to eventually be able to have full-on conversations with us all the time. We know that he's going to be able to do this stuff. He just can't do it yet. Yes. And I think that's great as the teacher and as a parent to remember that, like, he's getting better every day. Your kid, when they're going and doing these things, they're getting better every day. They're going to get there.
I love that. Yeah. I think that is awesome. I think the number one thing here to remember is that there are a lot of options out there. Most of them we don't know about. And so I think that this is an important place right here and now to like recognize, like, if you are one of those people that are struggling or could possibly struggle with this in your future, or know someone who is, reach out to them, let them know, like, I definitely as a therapist am advocating constantly with the school system and help with my kids and trying to help them get the best possible plan set in place for their future so they can have the opportunities that they need. And so that might be a good place to start right there. Contact the school system, maybe many school systems, maybe, go up into the boards and ask them questions. They have things that maybe some teachers are new that year or don't know about because they've never had to deal with it before. Yeah. And so if you happen to know something that we are not presenting here and was a really huge help for your child or someone that find us, put it in the comments of this podcast, or, we can create this link and hopefully we'll gather those all together and put them on bluebeecs.com so you can actually go onto our website and view those. And so that we can have them all in one place. Any experiences that you've had or shared, we'll just create a link right there for you. I really, really, loved having you guys come on here, but the time is not over yet. Oh no. Someone is at the door. Oh no. I know.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, that's why I had you sit there.
Oh, okay.
So you wouldn't notice. Oh. And hopefully, Logan's getting it. Thank you, Logan. Logan's behind the scenes. She's our lovely. It is. I know. It is food. We want a grade.
Is that why you
here
wanted me
at
over
Blue
here?
You're getting a grade.
Yep. It's it's a little. Hopefully,
wait till you see what it is.
This is something different.
This is different.
This is my dear friends that I love so much. I mean, I call them friends, but they know me. Yeah. They don't know me by name, but I go in there a lot. And I love curry pizza.
Oh no.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But this is not just any curry pizza. This is like specialty curry pizza.
I feel
because this is called honey curry pizza. It's a brand new, different kind of curry that's out on the market, and it is from India Palace or Curry Pizza. They're both together. Okay. And so, what kind of grade are we gonna get?
I can tell you right now. Curry isn't like
this
I'm
isn't
okay
like
with
spicy curry.
Okay.
It's like Indian curry.
No,
he doesn't like spicy Thai food curry, but this is not spicy.
Yeah, this is gonna be exciting. Okay. This is gonna be
exciting.
He's definitely
excited.
trapped. This is
this was a blindside right
She's my
here.
boss, so make sure you get.
Okay, that does look really good though. I was expecting yellow sauce, rice.
No, that looks delicious.
I don't know. That does look amazing.
I'm telling you, these people know how to do it.
Is it good? Am I just going for it?
I mean, how do you normally do this? You lead us now.
I don't know. Now I'm
tap your finger.
Yeah, I gotta. We're gonna grade this. Okay, so it looks like. Which I don't know why. I just realized I did it, and then I just kept doing it. So is it? I'm guessing it's pepperoni sausage. Is that okay? Well, you threw me off with the curry, so now I'm expecting like a lot of curry on this, but I don't know if it is. But let's give it a try. I feel a lot of pressure. What kind is this?
This is called honey curry pizza.
Okay. I'm getting a sweet, I'm guessing the sweetness from this is the honey. Yeah. But that's really good. Is there sauce on this? Is that the curry sauce?
Yep.
It's like the visual isn't matching with the taste, but that's not a bad thing at all.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a blind side of success.
Oh,
it was.
It's definitely a blind side.
That's delicious.
All of you fans out there, of Bettercallhall. I love this right now because this one is the best ever. I got him to eat curry, and get this, he
It's
likes
pizza.
it.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
it's like when you feed something to a kid
Yeah.
and it's vegetables, but they don't know that it's vegetables.
Mm.
This is how I feel right now. Like I'm being fed curry, but it just looks like a regular pizza. So it's like that's what it feels like right now. But this is really good. I really like the I really like the undercarriage sounds weird, but like the crisp and everything like that is like great. Like this is really good.
I know, it's my favorite. I actually can't go there. I get butter chicken and this honey curry pizza. It's a sauce. He's been on all sorts of Food Networking fun stuff for
Yeah,
this
that's
pizza.
really good.
Exactly right here, because he made this is his own sauce, and it's
Mhm.
fabulous.
If you were to just like give this to me and not tell, if you were just say, hey, I got you a pizza, I'd be
Yeah.
like, great. I was like, oh, that's like a really good, and didn't
Yeah.
tell me that it was like Thai from a Thai place. I
Uh-huh.
would have just been like
Indian.
Oh, Indian.
Indian. Sorry,
Indian.
Yeah.
sorry, Indian.
Yeah.
The
I
word
wouldn't have known,
curry
but
throws you off.
the curry throws me off, but the word,
Yes,
not
the word.
taste. But
he
it's
has
really
some
good.
like mental thing associated with the word curry.
Oh,
Mhm.
interesting.
We should pull that apart one day.
I'm really.
Yeah. Episode 2. To be continued.
Yes.
We talk about
I know.
food psychology. Do I have to give it a grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Dang. I feel like if I didn't know, now I'm just.
Oh,
But I'm
he's
gonna-
about
I'm-
to grade us based on the word
yeah,
curry right now.
that's
Do you see
literally
that
what
what's
I'm gonna
happening?
do right now. But no, I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it an A minus. Like,
I'll
and
take
if
an
you were
A-.
to if you were to say like if I hadn't been taste,
Mhm.
I was thinking it was gonna be a C. I was
Yeah.
thinking I wasn't gonna like it.
Yeah.
At
for
all.
curry.
C for curry.
See for curry.
Being on Sesame Street.
Yes.
But no, this is really good. I would definitely try this again.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I might take this home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You might. You
Bye.
might. You might. Well, this is super exciting. So, everybody, thank you so much. I personally have never gotten an A minus before. So I'm like,
So you're
I
really
have 4.0
excited.
students, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this better. I shouldn't have said, but it kind of gives me joy because it comes in a package looking like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those of you that are listening to us, go onto YouTube so you can watch his facial expressions because they're hilarious. But it does not say anything. It just looks like a normal pizza box.
Would've
But
thought
when
that
and
was
look
from-
at this, it looks like a
Yeah,
normal
it looks like
pizza.
Hut.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So of course, but it is so good. So
It is really good.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna finish this.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Hope to see us next time. We have a lot of mental health topics coming up. You're not going to want to
There's a
miss.
lot of curry.
Be more educated on mental health awareness. So thanks for joining.